Asia, with its vibrant growth and business opportunities, is where more than half the world's population, or more than 4.4 billion people, call home. Hello and welcome to Startup. This is where promising entrepreneurs from Asia are vying to secure capital to fuel their next stage of growth from two venture capitalists, Leslie Lowe of Red Dot Ventures and Eddie Chow of TNF Ventures. Welcome to the unfamiliar, uncertain, and untested world of entrepreneurship where the chips are always stacked up against you. This is Startup. In the previous episode, our three judges, Leslie Lowe of Red Dot Ventures, Mark Strecker of Amobi, and Eddie Chow of TNF Ventures, handpicked the most promising and outstanding ideas from 25 pitches. We watched the best entrepreneurs emerge from an intensive two-day startup bootcamp and revealed the final 8. Hello and welcome to Startup Season 2. In this episode, the 8 finalists will be introduced to their mentors who are going to guide them throughout their extraordinary journey. And today, they get to face their first hurdle, crowdfunding. Let's meet the mentors. We have Greg Mittman, Vice President and co-founder of MyRepublic. Greg is a passionate believer of Next-Gen National Broadband Network and has been closely following the rollout of NBN in Singapore. Prior to joining MyRepublic, he was an attorney practicing international trade and corporate law at Baker & McKinsey. John Garris is the Executive Director of Deloitte Southeast Asia Technology, Media and Telecommunications Practice and TMT Consulting Leader in the Asia Pacific. Prior to joining Deloitte, John worked in senior executive positions at large consulting, telecoms, and broadcasting conglomerates. Jagjit Singh is an experienced business leader and a mentor at Nanyang Technological University's innovation and enterprise company, Intuitive Private Limited. Prior to joining Intuitive, Jagjit was a member of MOOC Inc.'s Asia-Pacific management team in China, a global leader in designing high-performance motion control systems. He's passionate about mentoring aspiring entrepreneurs and strives to support the growth of new technology enterprises. Nick Lim is the founder, managing director, and CEO of 8Common, an ASX-listed software solutions firm, and a co-founder of 8Capita, an investment partnership that has invested in almost 30 technology companies. Prior to setting up 8Common and 8Capita, Nick was involved in investment banking at Morgan Stanley in Singapore, as well as UBS and Credit Suisse in Hong Kong. Next up, we have Michel Birnbaum, the entrepreneur-in-residence mentor at Intuitive Private Limited, where he works on technology commercialization and spin-offs. Michel was previously a partner at iGlow Partners and had investments in companies such as Unity 3D and Anacle Systems. He is also actively involved in entrepreneurship and venture capital communities such as Singapore Capital Association, NRF Tech Venture Working Committee, and Enactus. Guillaume Sachet is the head of strategic planning and a member of the Executive Management Council of MediaCorp. Previously a partner with the strategy practice of the consulting firm Accenture, his strong and deep knowledge within the media and telecoms industry across the Asia-Pacific has gained him recognition as an industry leader. So let's take a look at which mentors the finalists are paired up with. John and Jagjit will be mentoring Andrea Lubier of Mailbird, Mark Koh of Temploy, and Varun Chandran of Corporate 360. Nick and Greg will be mentoring Richard Koch of iCargo, Candice Chua of Ini Nails, and Kenneth Liu of Novelsis. Guillaume and Michelle will be mentoring Wilson Ng of Shopperboard and Min Zeya Pyo of Code2Lab. When we come back, our finalists will meet their mentors for the very first time. Find out what they think about each other right after the commercial break. My co-host for the season, Mohan Balani, will be bringing the mentors to meet the finalists.
Hello, startups. Welcome. You guys are the final coveted 8, and I'm sure you guys must be really proud to be here. Behind you are your cubicles and your working area, so get ready, get dirty and get going. You'll be meeting your mentors later today, and you'll be embarking on your very first challenge, which is the crowdfunding challenge. So I look forward to working with you guys over the next 2 weeks. Don't disappoint me, and I wish you guys all the best. All right, have a great day ahead.
The finalists had a quick chat and introduced their companies and ideas to their mentors. They also shared their initial strategies for the crowdfunding challenge. Let's see how they got along.
Hi.
Hi, Mark. It's John.
Mark.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Very nice
you guys are my new mentors.
Mark, I'll give you a card.
Thank you so much.
We are going to be the
Lloyd.
most important people that you deal with in the next few weeks.
No problem. Let me give you a card of mine as well.
So for Mark from Temploy, it's very interesting because his high energy and his passion exudes in everything he does and everything he says. People feel the excitement. They get a buzz off his buzz, and it can create a certain aura around him that allows people to follow him and will make him successful. On the flip side, if you overcook that, it can work against you. He needs to understand when to push that throttle forward and when to pull it back.
We're positioned basically as the leading matching service basically for part-time jobs, for low-skilled, semi-skilled, as well as transferable skills.
Probably Mark, more than any of the mentees, in my opinion, has the strongest conviction in what he does.
So we're actually matching candidates to vacancies while keeping both of them anonymous to the public.
So it's like an anonymous hot jobs.
That's correct.
Is it?
Yes.
And how does the anonymous work?
Well, the anonymous works basically up to the point of job acceptance. Then we exchange their contact details. The anonymous works up to that point.
It doesn't necessarily mean that this business model will succeed, but I firmly believe that Mark is one of those entrepreneurs where if he fails 9 times, he'll go back a 10th time, and he will come out a successful entrepreneur.
Candice was very personal for me because I believe Candice comes from a banking background. And in that respect, I felt a bit of kinship with her. I'm a lawyer by background.
What are your objectives? So if you have a successful campaign...
So, in general, our main goals are threefold. The first is really to bring up the awareness around the product.
That's good and it's bad, coming from a professional services background. It's good because you're hardworking, you're smart, you're able to figure things out.
The second is to kickstart production in 3 main continents. Right now we have all of our production in Finland with very small quantities. It's primarily test pieces with a manufacturing partner that we have.
But it's bad because sometimes you are too left-brained. You're too logical. You're not creative enough.
And the third thing is to establish, really look for partnerships with more brands that have been approaching us, like Angry Birds or other brands that might be interesting to work with. They're fun, fashionable.
And so with Candice, one of the things I'd like to see in her is to become a little bit less left brain, a little bit less like a banker, and a little bit more like a creative entrepreneur. I felt like she was trying, and it'll be very interesting to see how that process ends up.
The finalists also had the opportunity to visit their mentors at work and learn how successful companies operate.
One thing about Wilson, he started off kind of weak, and we kind of got on his back too about that.
I guess my main question for you guys is, this is a very crowded space. So maybe you can summarize what is really your differentiation.
I think what you mean by a crowded space, I agree with you, especially in the online e-commerce sector, okay? But the thing is, we are not an online store.
And so he challenged us on some of the things that we were pushing on him.
We are actually a platform to discover products, discover stores. Currently, discovery shopping online is actually maybe achieved a little bit by Pinterest, a little bit by Instagram, but they are not shopping focused. So that's where we are stepping in.
And rightly so. I mean, we're not gurus. We don't have all the answers, and actually showed us that, what he was trying to do was the right thing as far as he was concerned, and he felt comfortable with that.
So for us, currently, the people in this region who are shopping actively online shoppers are people who visit the popular blog shops, which are not present on all those websites itself. So currently, all of them are on our site, along with 1,000 other store pages on our site as well. So we tackle the stores that are popular within this region, and then we scale it up.
So I think that's part of what you do as an entrepreneur. You have to have conviction and resilience, you know, and because a lot of people will try to throw down your ideas or knock down your products. And if you really believe in it, then you got to go for it. And he showed that. So that's very positive as far as I'm concerned.
So Kenneth and team, I think you have here an idea which at its core is very simple.
And we also have Novosis Juice, which is actually a charging infrastructure that we want to implement in service locations such as cafes and restaurants itself.
And what they've done is they've tried to wrap many things around it to build up the applicability of a core purpose, right? Charging.
That we offer the service owner the capacity to upsell. So imagine I bought a drink, I've sat here for half an hour to 45 minutes, I haven't bought anything else. What we can do is that we can actually push out notifications to get the person to buy something to add on at a discount.
So what they have the benefit of is that they can create enough potential options with the different models of the business, whether it's B2B, B2C, etc., and kind of see what will latch on. The risk with these ideas is that number one, if you don't move deep enough in any one idea and have the conviction at some point to say, I've got to hang my boots onto one or two main things and go strong with it, then you could be just firing blanks all the time. So the opportunity lies with regards to if you're going to align yourself with certain people and certain groups, if you find they're genuine, they've got what it takes to help you, and they can support you meaningfully, then you've got to just hinge yourself and just go for it. One particular sector, two particular sectors, and just gun it.
The finalists also prepared for their upcoming challenge by attending a crowdfunding workshop organized by Crowdonomic. Like any good marketing campaign, it is all about identifying your target audience.
Now, the dynamics of crowdfunding is extremely simple, but what's often overlooked is what the secret sauce for crowdfunding is. KYS, know your supporters.
But they also learned that that is not enough to set up a page and just let it run by itself.
Execution. Now is where the actual work starts.
They were broken up into groups to brainstorm and bounce ideas off each other. The topics range from designing the rewards to creating successful crowdfunding videos. The experts also shared campaign trends, crowdfunding etiquettes, and marketing tips to prepare the finalists for their challenge.
Crowdfunding is an innovative go-to-market approach. In fact, it's essential to help startups to shorten their go-to-market with a lot less cost. So I believe that it's something that I think, particularly on consumer-oriented startup, this is something that they should do to actually help as part of their development plan.
I think it's great for entrepreneurs. I mean, when I was, I look back now 16, 17 years ago, when I was raising money, it was all about who did you know, right? You had to go out there and you had to use every trick in the book to network to find, a wealthy angel investor, convince them to give you $50, $100, $200,000. Now, with the power of the internet, you can just go and say, listen, here's my idea. And the average person on the street can also be an angel investor, and it's a very efficient way of raising money. So I think it's phenomenal for the entrepreneurial community.
I think crowdfunding is a great idea. Any people understand, the technology, understand the business. Now they have a chance to participate, to invest, and be part of the actions, rather than it's dominated by institutional investors. But having said that, of course, I think each country, they need to handle the regulatory issues, because this is also very high risk type of investment. So people need to understand the risks associated.
One of my best moments was with the mentor John Goers. Now, this guy was really sharp, and the fact is that I could tell that he was an ex-founder himself. So, he had a wealth of experience, and he was very practical. You could zoom in on basically the gaps in my presentation. He gave me some insight on why the business model would actually work and what basically would get me to communicate these points clearly to my audience. And when I went to his office in Deloitte, he was like the Batcave. He had this huge screen. He was moving things around like Minority Report. It was so sci-fi. I love that guy.
So the moment that I remember the most from my mentors is the great thing is that they were very hands-on. They were very involved in what we were trying to pitch, what we were trying to communicate. They even suggested some things that did help me in improving myself.
So we have a panel of male mentors, and I think it took us a while to really explain our business model so they understood what we were trying to do. And I really loved the aha moment when they got it, and it was very obvious because suddenly you had suggestions, oh, this is great. And you have things like, oh, why don't you do this, why don't you do that, why don't you work with affiliate partners, why don't you work with friends? And we're like, yeah, this is exactly what we're trying to do. And then everybody is like, great, we have the same idea, so now we can refine on the idea. With me and my mentors, what we did was Laurie and myself raised a few possibilities that we could approach. And then our mentors raised a few possibilities that we could approach. And I think going forward, it's really going to be a question of trying each one of them and looking to see what the right path is. In general, we are pretty aligned on the strategy and the approach, and everybody gets it, which is I think a huge step already in the right direction, that they understand what it is that we're trying to do, the potential of the product, and the direction that we're trying to take.
Well, I guess mentorship sessions today has been really great. Firstly, it offered us definitely perspectives outside of the company itself. I guess that's always very, very important. It's always good to have someone else from the outside to challenge what we think and to sort of test us to see whether we can really execute what we actually intend to do. So I guess that's really the value of the mentorship. We are a very young company. We are all very young people, but I think that doesn't stop us. In fact, we need to leverage off what these people has gone through. Well, what do we look for in an ideal mentor? We sort of narrow down to 3. So the first aspect is that the mentor has to be very approachable. We need to be able to connect with the mentor. The second thing is that this mentor has to be someone with the experience and the knowledge that we actually require, because if not, then there's no point. So the last thing is that the mentors will need to have the potential to bring us to the next stage of whatever our company is doing. It's never easy to find mentors to actually sort of be interested in what we're doing. But I guess at the end of the day, being young is super, super useful because it shows the passion that we have. 3 very young co-founders came together. We haven't even finished school. In fact, I'm only in my 2nd year, so I stopped school to do this. And that itself is the skin in the game we always talk about. And mentors love it because they love to see Singaporeans stepping up to the game.
The team spent weeks strategizing their campaign. While the results of the crowdfunding challenge have no bearing on the final scores, each team's campaign progress, marketing ability, and execution efforts will be observed by the judges. Amy Nails decided to do a media launch event.
Channel News Asia crowdfunding party coming up. So the crowdfunding event will launch on the 9th of February. And as part of our crowdfunding campaign, we have already been discussing a launch party. So we invite media from the fashion magazines will be good.
For Temploy, it appears that the challenge wasn't so straightforward.
What is the target audience? Are they clients, partners, or competitors?
Shouldn't we focus more on the actual event itself rather than focus too much on the identity of the employee for the crowdfunding campaign?
We need to be very clear about our brand identity. Then you can show off what is the expertise of the value proposition we are bringing to the table.
I agree with what Arvind said. Arvind actually has a very good point in that he's going to make sure that this whole project is understandable from a high level to a low level.
Shopperboard wants to use this opportunity to give back to the underprivileged.
The idea of getting the funds for this crowdfunding campaign to actually give back to a children's society, to a children's charity, to actually give them money to maybe celebrate Chinese New Year, and we also purchase some new clothes for them as well, so to give back to the society.
Novelcists came up with rewards designed in collaboration with Singapore designers.
Okay, for the Channel News Asia crowdfunding, we wanted to do something that's bigger than Novelcists. So that's why we decided on doing Power SG. So how we're doing that, right, is we're doing a lot of collaborations with designers. So right now we're aiming to have 3 designers. And each of them have very interesting styles and have been seen in Singapore before. And then so through that, we're going to be featuring them in the Novelcists and designer collaboration through collaterals such as tote bags, notebooks, and t-shirts. We need people to see that when they support local brands, they are powering their future, they're powering Singapore's future. So therefore, #PowerSG. PowerSG.
It sounds like we have an awesome plan for our crowdfunding campaign. So I hope you're really excited. It's going to be awesome. So thank you so much for everything. And give me a high five. Yeah.
After weeks of hard work and preparation, the teams are finally ready to launch their crowdfunding pages. In just a few moments, their crowdfunding pages will go live. Log on to crowdfunding.channelnewsasia.com to support your favorite startup now.
In our next episode, the 8 finalists will be facing a new challenge that tests their leadership. They'll be grouped with total strangers to complete a pressure cooker assignment, assembling a set of flat-pack furniture. Who will emerge on top?